What's up, Peter? How you doing?
Hey, Werther. Nice to be here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you because you're a big guy. It's fair to say, right? How much do you weigh?
I'm sitting at 288.
Two
Yeah,
eighty
about
eight.
5'10", 5'11",
All
288
right.
right now.
And you're not just big. You're a strongman competitor, right?
I am.
So
Yeah. Yep. I've always been into weightlifting. Started at 16 at Gold's Gym, just cleaning machines and glass and stuff, but watching the trainers, watching the big guys at the gym, and just fell in love with it. So as I got older, you realized, what are we doing this? Are we going into powerlifting? Are we going into bodybuilding? Are we going into strongman or CrossFit?
hmm
I was really attracted to the sport of they call it strength athletics, so strongman, because it's a little more athletic than just straight weightlifting and stuff.
Right.
So
It certainly is. You've trained me in both.
yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. So been in that since about 2016, competing up north where I lived, and then down here. Won a couple shows, Tampa, Tallahassee, and stuff. I enjoy it. It's just something that I'm pretty good at, and I enjoy it. So why not?
Yeah, awesome, man. And having both rolled with you and seen you lift,
hmm
it's fair to say you're one of the strongest people I've ever rolled with.
Well, appreciate
You
that.
know.
I guess, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
one thing I want to talk to you is like, as a guy who's like almost 300 pounds,
Yeah.
and a strongman competitor. So that's
Yeah.
not just weight behind you. Like you've got a lot of strength and power behind you. You
Yeah.
know, what made you want to do jiu-jitsu? Because you've trained a little over a year now, right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say a year totally on and off. I had to unfortunately take time off for prepping for competitions.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me to train jujitsu and try to.
That's fair, but it's been a year on
but
and
yeah,
off.
about
Yeah.
a year. I'd say why I wanted to get into it was two things. One, drop a little bit of weight, get the cardio up with something that's not running or biking, something that's actually
Certainly more fun
right.
than that.
It's something
Yeah.
that's more fun at this point in my life. But also know how to take care of myself, know how to at least defend myself. Sometimes when you're out in public and you're at the bar or whatever, when you're a bigger dude with muscle, you kind of just get tried. You get looked at, you get
Yeah.
eyed up like, somebody wants to take down the big guy.
That's crazy to me because I would think, oh, that's the guy I'm not going to mess with.
That's
But,
you, but that's
yeah.
your mentality. But it's not the mentality of some people, and it's happened before. So I just, I got to a spot where I'm like, hey, it's pretty common these days. MMA, training jujitsu, these kind of things. I'm at a disadvantage if I don't know at least how to
Right.
defend myself. So that's why I wanted to break into this. Yeah.
Absolutely. So now that you've started and, a year on and off, maybe like 6 to 8 months
About
total
6
training
good
time?
months, yeah.
6 good months training
Yeah,
time?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So like what have been your observations since you started from the beginning to now?
I mean, so many. I mean, where do I start? Number one, it's an amazing just sport, but way of interacting. There's much more finesse than I would have thought there would be
hmm
in a combat sport where you're, locked in with somebody. It's a thinking man's game.
Certainly
Didn't
is.
really ever kind of think that went together, but it's like a chess match. That's been a big observation. Leverage and knowing how to move your body really is almost more important than having the brute strength.
Absolutely.
That's something that I'm still trying to come to grips with and figure out.
Yeah.
Because it's just so ingrained to be powerful and use muscle. You don't always have to in jiu-jitsu. Those would be the two
Your
big
ego
ones.
has been very willing to take that hit too. I've noticed, like, since you've been training here, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, like, you came in with the attitude of like, oh my God, this is awesome
Yeah.
that my strength doesn't matter that much, and I'm gonna make it matter. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
the way I think about it with people that are extremely strong is like, look, in the beginning when you go against someone that's a very finessed jiu-jitsu player,
Yeah.
someone that has several pathways to victories from every single position, it's like they have means of combating your strength, but
Yeah.
the ceiling to what you can do is much higher than the ceiling of what I can do, right? You have 100 pounds on me, and pound for pound, you're much stronger than me.
Yeah.
So there's a much higher ceiling to what you can do with your jiu-jitsu game than I can. I might still be able to win,
Yeah. Yeah.
but should your skill continue to improve exponentially, even as mine still does, eventually you're going to be dominating me. And
Yeah, that's why there's weight classes. I mean,
that's why there's weight classes, right?
really at the end of the day. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's finesse is important. I always want to keep the mindset that I don't know jack about this. Stay trainable and just suck it all in. Sometimes it's tough still.
Yeah.
I'm still at the point where even 6 months in, it doesn't come to me naturally yet. I have to think it through. I want to get to the point where it's automatic, and that's the goal. But right now, certain things that are just muscle memory to you to do in a situation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to run through that in my head
and
figure out where
absolutely.
to put my arm, and well,
that's the thing. You compared it to a chess match, and jiu-jitsu is in a lot of ways really similar to chess. You're training your body to make certain moves, certain pathways to victory.
Yep.
You're ingraining that in your muscle memory. And basically, just like one chess person going against another chess person. I don't know too much about chess, but I know basically that the better chess person has more pathways with much more intricacy towards victory than the inferior chess player.
Perfectly said.
And that's how you win. And in jiu-jitsu, it's the same thing. The better jiu-jitsu person has more pathways to victory ingrained in their muscle memory than the other person. Now you start taking things like flexibility, strength, size into account, and it affects the variables quite a bit.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Like there's been sayings that people say like every 30 pounds is a belt or every 10 years is a belt. I think the 10 years one is very valid. I think the 30 pounds one, maybe not so much. And everybody's jiu-jitsu game, like some people have better jiu-jitsu games, I think, for overcoming size and strength differences than others.
I think it's just based on your body type, how much you weigh. Yeah, I see it here at class.
Yeah, you notice like the lanky people, they a lot of times have pretty good success going with people that are much bigger and stronger.
They do.
They just rely on their flexibility and their reach for things. But yeah, it all plays a part. Like ultimately, technique being the most important. And strategy. I'll combine those. Technique and strategy being the most important things. But again, like your athleticism raises the ceiling to what you can do. So increasing your strength, your explosive power, your size. Size is a big one because so we talked about this a few times. It's like, where do you feel your strength matters more, on top or on bottom?
I mean, right now I'm way more comfortable on top.
Right.
Heavy. Right. Sit on heavy. 100 kilos. I feel good in
specifically with strength though.
But the bottom game, I feel I can use my strongman training or strength more appropriately. Hip thrusts, pushing, right? Ability to kind of
your bridge and roll, absolutely.
Those things you don't get from top game. So I'm more comfortable on top for sure.
Yeah.
But part of that's ab work, honestly. Bottom game needs work. One of the things that jiu-jitsu has been rough on me is the core. Obliques. Not to say strongmen don't have very strong core.
Oh yeah, you guys do.
But the side-to-side motion and the sitting in a push-up in a sit-up position, just kind of there on bottom. That I was sore for a week. And it's still not there. So that's a big thing to overcome.
That's something that, and I think when I've been lifting with you and doing your programs, like my core strength has helped a lot in increasing my gains, and it's because, dude, in jiu-jitsu, like your core is constantly activated with almost everything. Especially when you're playing guard. Guard is like all core. You're always activated.
How much of it is really from here to here.
Yeah.
Your arms and legs are what they are, but it's here in jiu-jitsu. Can't be stressed enough, in training, in the weight room, etc. And it does carry over well for me. Hip bridge, I can probably hip bridge anybody up that I need to get it off of me.
And that's sort of the point I was alluding to is like your strength and explosive power generally matters much more from bottom than it does when you're on top. You could be much weaker than you are now, but the same weight, and your top game would not be affected too much.
Good call.
But on bottom, if you were the same weight but significantly weaker, your ability to get out from bottom would be greatly reduced.
I agree. No, I agree with you.
And I found that too. Thanks to you. For those of you guys who don't know, I live with Peter. He has been coaching me through weightlifting, and it's been about a year that we've done it. So I put on 30 pounds.
So I put him on a program for strength and. More than anything else, power and strength.
Yeah.
He blew me away with the results.
Oh, thanks.
We,
I had a good coach.
I mean, working hard, which the fighter's mentality, and somebody who's in good shape and willing to put that time in the gym, combined with the programs that we run, I've just seen you grow in leaps and bounds on your what we call the total, squat, bench, and deadlift total, to put 125, 130 pounds on over the course of 3 months. It was
105, 110.
105, 110 pounds, right? 50 pounds on the deadlift, 35 pounds on the bench. These are huge numbers, and you've continued to do it, and I think your jiu-jitsu's probably improved.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's easier. It's easier.
It's much easier. Like, again, like I've really felt the strength difference from when I'm on bottom.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't be held down anymore. I mean, obviously I still can. There's people that can do it to me.
Yeah.
But like when I'm rolling against people that in like a year ago, we were either very even, or I maybe just had a little bit of an edge on them, or maybe they had a bit of an edge on me. The difference in what I'm capable of doing has been significant. Like the guys that were my size, that we were even, or they were a little bit better than me. Now I feel like I can shut down a lot of what they do. And it's because, well, one, I'm 30 pounds heavier. It's much harder for them to move me the way that they want to. It's made my top game and my ability to pin better. But also I'm just stronger from bottom. I can frame and push people off more easily. I can create space more easily. I'm able to bridge and turn more easily because I've got a little bit more explosiveness built up than I had before. But it's made a big difference.
The converse to that, which is, do you feel that gaining 30 pounds that you've lost speed, flexibility, the ability to get into some positions that you used to be able to?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it because, I talk a lot about the pros of gaining weight and getting stronger, but there are some cons. So one thing I'll say is I don't feel slower. I really don't. I don't feel like I've lost any speed. What I have lost is like the maximum number of explosions and the durations that I can do them when I'm training. So like an explosion would be like an explosive movement or initiating and going into a scramble. My ability to do that over a longer period of time has been diminished, and my ability to do it a raw number of times before I fatigued, that's gone down. And that makes sense because I'm carrying a lot more muscle mass. So when I use them, they get tired more quickly. Now the way I've countered that is by being, my game is very slow in a lot of ways now. It wasn't always that way. When I came in with a wrestler's mentality, I was always very fast. I was attacking even from bad position. And now I always make sure I have good position when I attack. And I use my wrestling and my top game to control the pace and not have the pace be pushed on me to a point where I'm going to fatigue. And obviously with you guys, with I got whites, blues, and a few purples in here, that's pretty easy to do, okay? Actually, it's extremely easy to do. When I roll with, the competitive black belts that I like to roll with, now it's much harder to do. A lot of times I can still do it when I'm on the feet wrestling because my defensive wrestling is pretty good, but it is much harder to control the pace from guard, and I am finding myself getting more tired as a result. Flexibility, I've lost a little bit of flexibility in my lower back. I don't feel like I've lost any flexibility in my hips, but that's because I play guard a lot. Do you
think that having to do it over again, you would have added as much muscle? You feel you're in the safe window where you can continue to add a couple more pounds?
I want to go up to
trade-off between where there's too much muscle on you and there's no?
I haven't found it yet. I'll say every single pound that I've gained since 165, now I'm like 195. I feel like it's helped me. Now we'll see what happens. Like I want to.
So this is an ongoing experiment.
This is an ongoing experiment. I'm only 28. I want to see how far I can take it. I want to see how big I can get. I'm gonna try to get to 205 by the end of the year. And ultimately, I want to get to 225. I think that's a good height for. I think that's a lot of muscle for a 5'10" guy. You know. I think going past that point, I'm gonna start having the strongman gut, and it's gonna look.
You are, well, yeah.
It's gonna look like I'm not a jiu-jitsu guy anymore.
You become a little. What's the word? More inflexible, a little thicker everywhere. And when you get that thick, which is something I struggle with, to be honest with you, the legs, you're just too thick. Too thick to do triangles the right way, or even really wrap and
I've noticed like my ability to do body triangle people has gone down a lot.
It is. So there is a trade-off where you get too bulky, but you'll find it.
I mean, my game has changed a little bit. Like, I've actually become a little bit less reliant on the back and more reliant on my north-south game. You know, I like north-south a lot. Yeah. I play side control and mat a little bit, but really, like, with my initial pins, my north-south game is my best, you know. And when I was 165, I couldn't make it work nearly as well as I can now.
No.
Conversely, on the back, I can't body triangle as well now. I am stronger, and I have a greater ability to pull and control.
Yeah.
And, you know, I maybe have a greater ability now just because of my strength gains to pummel for the choke or go to the armbar and stuff like that. But when it comes to holding with my legs, it's like, okay, I don't have the space in between my legs anymore to really body triangle people, and that used to be something I depended on when I was 165.
Yeah.
So it's like I've had to do
so
different things there.
Your game will change. I mean, mine has. You've seen it in class here where I just can't do certain moves, unfortunately. Now I'm a little too big for my frame right now anyways, and I do want to lean out, but I just can't do certain moves. And I adapt my game to what I can do. There's always another move or another position.
Yeah, triangles are hard for you to do.
I'm not going to triangle anybody.
You're not,
No, not many people are going to triangle me.
That's also true.
So I don't really worry about them as much as maybe something else. But that's that chess again. That's having all those tricks in the back of what to use and when. And that's what I love about this sport thus far is it's tailor-made for your body, for your style, for how you
Every body type has a position where they can be strong and dominate, And
that's cool to me because it's not really the case in many other sports.
That's, absolutely not.
You know?
Yeah, I told you from the very, very beginning, I was like, look, I'm going to teach you a lot of stuff. I'm going to teach you back control. I'm going to teach you guard. But you're going to be a side control, mount, Kesa Katami, north-south guy. That's going to be you.
And I feel most comfortable there.
Yeah.
I like
and not to say some people haven't surprised me and their game has been different than what their body type would have implied.
Yeah.
But that's generally speaking the trend that I see for your body
Absolutely.
type is that's where you're really strong. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, trying. But I also want to know what I'm not good at, what I'm weak at, and what I suck at, so that I can get better.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, you're not always going to be on top in north-south.
Yeah, and hey, listen, if you ever want to teach, like you gotta have the ability to teach to not your body type.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So I've got long, skinny guys that are like 6'4", you know, and way less than I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're gonna have a very different game than you. And
Absolutely.
I've had to, over the years that I've been teaching, be like, all right, what techniques and what adjustments can I make for every person to make this strong?
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what you have to do. So it's like, you know, for an instructor, you know, you don't want to make your students exact clones of you. Obviously, you're gonna show them your A game. You're gonna show them everything that you're best at. But you're also going to be like, look, you know, I think these positions are positions you should invest in because I think you'll be dominant in them.
Yeah.
You know, and don't just learn from me. Learn from everybody else out there, especially in the professional grappler world. Like, who really dominates from these positions and what are they doing?
Right. I mean, one of the things I do when I have the spare time on YouTube is just go down the list and what grapplers look like me. Like, is this guy thicker? Is he a heavyweight? Is he more muscular? I'm going to watch his channel or watch some of his videos because I'm not 6'4", 180 with, you know, a 36-inch inseam. You know, it's just not my body type. So I'm not going to be able to emulate what you know, person X does. But it's you make a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, going back to it, I'm going to get to 225 maybe a year and a half, 2 years from now, and then I will let everybody know, like, how I feel afterwards.
You sure will. Yeah, keep it up, you know, and I look forward to continue to, you know, train you and write programming for you. I think you could go much farther with this. And most people can.
I appreciate it. I'm going to stick to Jiu-Jitsu, though.
No, I agree.
I love Jiu-Jitsu too much.
We're not going to get you ready for World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
But
hey, listen, maybe one day I'll do a local strongman. You know, it's like, you know, you guys can branch out. You know, if you're just in Jiu-Jitsu, you don't only have to do Jiu-Jitsu, okay? In fact, you shouldn't, right? You should diversify and take something from everywhere. Like, look, you know, having size and strength is helpful, you know, and maybe it's not a good deterrent when you're at a bar and some guy is trying to size you up just to be the alpha male.
Yeah.
But if someone is trying to seek out prey, like, and they're trying to target prey in a different kind of crime, you know, in an actual kind of crime, then being big and strong is a deterrent, you know, and so. So
they say strong people are. What's the saying? Strong people are generally more useful and harder to kill.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So But in that same vein, where they're
Yeah. So
when
so
you,
sorry. Like
yeah,
so, getting strength, jiu-jitsu, striking, firearms training. Remember, guys, we had another conversation with Billy, and he did a video on dry firing. We're gonna have him back. But
yeah,
these are all useful things that you guys can cross train in and explore. Right? You don't want to just only be good at one specific component of self-defense. You want to be good at everything. And I think physical sports in general, like
absolutely.
things that are just in general useful, like being strong is in general
Yeah.
useful,
Yeah,
like being able to defend yourself is in general useful, so try to get good at all those things.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that is very attractive about strongman, and I try to preach this to anybody that's working out in the gym that maybe does jujitsu, maybe just does, whatever they do as their main sport. A lot of people cross train or spend time in the gym. And I try to really preach functional strength. It's the basis of strongman. They say strongman is manual labor for sport.
Yeah.
All of our events, if you think
competitive
about it,
farm work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's competitive farm work, and it's useful.
Mm-hmm.
And so training with those implements and training that way makes you overall stronger, more useful, right? And so if, my whole, soapbox speech is always, if your gym has strongman implements, if you have farmer's handles, a yoke, if you have anything you can pick up, sandbags, etc., these are the things you should be doing instead of bicep curls every time or tricep extensions to really build your base and get overall stronger. There's a lot we can get into on specific lifts.
Yeah, I would like to hear your thoughts on specific lifts and exercises you think
Okay.
jiu-jitsu people should do
Well,
to get stronger.
having been doing it for 6 months or so now and understanding the weight room really well, my top 5 would have to be in this order. You got to work your deadlift. And I'm going to go so far as to say something extremely controversial to the strongman community because we don't do sumo. It's not allowed. We do the conventional deadlift.
Yeah.
But sumo deadlift is probably better for jiu-jitsu training because it takes your groin muscles, your adductors into it a lot more, takes your butt into it.
Interesting.
I'm not saying you shouldn't. You should do both. But sumo deadlift.
You're saying specifically to jiu-jitsu, though.
I'm saying specifically to jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
If I were tailoring a program for somebody, I would probably put sumo deadlifts first, and I would sprinkle in conventional deadlifting. That would be number 1. Number 2, all types of squats. So you see the moral here is core work. Like, develop this. So obviously back squat with a barbell just to get strong. But for jiu-jitsu, front squatting, and then what I found is incredible is Zerker squats, which are when the barbell's out in the crook of your arms and you're squatting down, front squatting with it. Front Zerker squats like this are incredible.
Yeah, so that one specifically for me, I feel has really impacted my ability to lift people.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's gotten much better when I'm wrestling, like just shooting for double legs or any kind of leg-based takedown where I'm trying to scoop and lift. It's helped. So.
Absolutely. Now I felt it the other day with back control too. Isometric. All I'm thinking in my head is this is just an isometric Zerker. I'm behind and I'm just holding, and I'm just holding here, and he's inside me, and so that's
I don't prefer to hold like this.
Okay, well,
it's fine. I do this, but it's the same kind of thing. You're compressing.
The idea is that you're holding somebody here just as you would hold a barbell in place. They're not going anywhere. The more you train that, the better. Ab and adductor work. The machine at the gym. Adductor is incredibly important for jiu-jitsu, for closed guard and holding there.
I remember literally the first month you were here, that's something you commented. I was like, oh my God, my groin is so sore.
Absolutely.
I can't believe how much adduction work
so
there
much
is.
work.
Yeah.
So those machines at the gym, the ab adductor machine, I would recommend for anybody doing jiu-jitsu. Not only do you want to kind of go heavy because you generally got really strong adductors anyways, hold. Isometric holds. When you get to the end of the machine, hold really slow tempo and just get used to holding it there just like you would when you're in a closed guard or trying to get to a closed guard. That's a great one. Anything picking up from the ground is great. I preach goblet squats. Are you familiar with a goblet squat? So grab a super heavy dumbbell, or if you have a gym that has a really heavy kettlebell, and all you're doing is picking it up from the ground and just squatting. That's it.
Okay.
It's just a squat
Gotcha.
with a front object that's low to the ground. Those are going to translate super well as well to building core and being able to get off of when you're on top and you want to break away or something. And then obviously grip strength. Grip strength, grip strength, grip strength.
Yeah, super important.
Anything farmers carry.
And not just for the gi, by the way, guys. It's not just for the gi. In no gi, grip strength advantages are huge.
Gi,
yeah.
Right. But having strong grip and being able to hold somebody there, just even, however you, just having that meat hook of a grip is going to give you an advantage.
Absolutely.
So heavy, heavy, heavy is what I preach there. Heavy farmers carries, heavy dumbbells holding, even hold a barbell in a
shrug
position, in a shrug position. Anything that you're holding, hold yourself up on a pull-up bar. How long can you go? Just grip, grip, grip. Those are, I would say, some of the best exercises you can incorporate in a conventional gym setting to have real crossover into the sport.
So deadlifts, you say specifically do sumo, but also conventional.
Yeah, I would almost say 1 week sumo, 1 week conventional.
Gotcha.
But make sure you work that sumo.
Okay. Sure. And then squats.
All variations of squats.
And abs and core and abduction, adduction.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay.
Grip.
And then goblet squats.
Yep.
And then the last one was
grip. Farmers
grip fighting.
Carries.
Yeah,
grab the heaviest dumbbells you can carry at your gym, unless your gym has farmers carry handles, and just walk 50 feet down and back. Drop them. Go as long as you can. Do that. Hold them. Your grip gets strong very fast. You'll be amazed after a couple of weeks at just how.
You also lose it really quickly.
You lose it very fast. Yeah.
I noticed that. Yeah. When I took like 2 weeks off lifting at one point, and I was like, oh, everything else feels fine, but man, I can't grab anything.
Absolutely. The first thing that goes, and it's terrible, but that's definitely. Now, if you have access at your gym to some of the more exotic toys, that a strongman gym may have, if you're lucky enough to train at a place that does strongman, I would say heavy sandbags is probably the best thing. A weighted sandbag pickup from the ground over to your shoulder, or just pick them up, drop them down. Do that for a set of 10. In my sport, most competitions are 250, 350 for sandbags. Women and the lightweights and stuff, it'll be 150, 200-pound bags. The point is they're heavy. They're body weight or heavier. You should be able to do it. Most people can. They just don't know that they can. They're afraid to go heavier than everybody's kind of afraid to go heavy if you're not used to lifting that way. But really, you have to gain that.
Yeah, you gotta fail or be prepared to fail.
That's it. And if you're not comfortable, obviously you gotta get training, get a trainer, learn how to do it the right way. But for anybody that's watching this that has a good base and goes to the gym, it's not beneficial to you to stay in that 10 to 12 rep range and just come in every week and put about the same weight on.
Right.
Progressive load, overload, and you want to challenge yourself with those really grinding 2 to 4 reps sometimes, 1 to 3 reps. That's where you build that real primal power.
So that's a great point that you made in the beginning, as well as look, if you've never been to the gym before, or maybe you have a couple times and you're not comfortable, and maybe you don't have a good basis of understanding of these exercises, go in with a professional, get a good personal trainer.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing Billy said when it came to firearms instruction. It's the same thing I say when it comes to jiu-jitsu, don't train these things on yourself, it's going to be very difficult to get good at jiu-jitsu training by yourself, or even just with another person that's your skill level. You need guided instruction. And same thing for weightlifting. 100%. That's why I have you as my coach.
Yeah, no,
it's been
100%.
Extremely helpful.
Yeah. And everybody's got a different level of comfort, right? Beginners, and then we call moderate lifters, and then expert or advanced lifters. Beginners can do it. They just need to kind of understand the mechanics, especially of deadlift and squat.
So what would your advice be for looking for a good personal trainer? What would you look for?
Basically, I don't really care so much about all the fancy certifications. There are a dime a dozen. There's a million agencies that give out certifications. What I want to know is that trainer's past, basically. Did they compete in powerlifting or strongman ever? Did they do competitive bodybuilding, if that's what you're getting into? Do they have a background in nutrition, or where do they come from?
Or exercise science.
Right? Because it's incredibly easy, unfortunately, to go and sit for an online class and name 5 exercises for your bicep and click, and now you have your certification and you're a trainer.
Imagine if we did that for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Well, some schools are starting to. We got to stop
that.
But
So for me, it's just straight up asking, hey, I want to learn. My biggest one is, can you teach me Olympic lifting? Can you teach me the snatch? 9 out of 10 trainers are going to go, I don't know what the snatch is. I don't train Oli lifting. Okay, cool. It's not common, right? It's the same thing. Can you teach me a front zerker carry, a front zerker squat, or do you know how to properly rack and lift a yoke, or can you help me out with the strongman stuff? If they say no, they have no idea. That's probably not the guy you want to, or the girl you want to go to.
So do your research, basically.
Basically, do your research.
Like, get it. Like, the best kind is someone who is a former competitor and really knows how to do these exercises safely and things like that.
But I'll leave it with this.
Okay.
The worst thing that you should watch out for, and probably leave and not use this person anymore, is they're putting you on machines. They're watching you while you're on the machines, or you're on a cardio piece of equipment, and they're kind of talking to you and being your coach, or they're counting, right? 3 more, 2 more, 1 more. That isn't beneficial. I don't want to go into a gym and use a series of machines. I want the trainer's knowledge. What am I doing? Is my mechanics right on the deadlift, on the squat? What are the little points and tricks and tips, like I've showed you, that are cues that you need to have when you're really lifting barbells and dumbbells? And a bad trainer won't be able to cue you with keeping things vertical over the bar, or not beginning the pull too early, for example, on the deadlift. Those are the things you should run from if you're just hopping on the Cybex equipment week after week.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, awesome. I really like that. We could have you come on and talk.
I appreciate it. This is cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Because I want to get people from other activities and the powerlifting, martial arts community, weightlifting, bodybuilding to intermingle. These are all very masculine activities, you could say. Shooting as well, and it's maybe we should all do a little bit of all of this stuff, and I hope that becomes normalized through the culture. So one more thing I want to say, because I've noticed as a jiu-jitsu person, I've been doing jiu-jitsu 8 years, right? Mm-hmm. The growth in the jiu-jitsu world in the last 8 years has been insane, enormous. 8 years ago, people getting paid $10,000 to compete in these Grand Prix tournaments, it was unheard of. Yeah. Now it's just the norm. It happens all the time. Yeah. In fact, Josh is putting one up for Sapatero really soon. So that's going to be a banger, guys. Make sure you tune into that. Yeah. Have you noticed the same in the weightlifting community?
That's a great question. So in my sport specifically, but more so over the last, I would say from about 2010 till now, you had a sport called CrossFit burst onto the scene. Mm-hmm. CrossFit, for better or worse, and it is controversial in the gym world as far as being CrossFitter.
I've seen the memes,
but it has done more for barbell sports and just exposure to barbell sports because, highly popular on ESPN, CrossFit Games and stuff. I'll credit CrossFit with an explosion into the barbell world. And 10 years ago, going into a commercial gym, it was rare to see a woman over in the free weight section or in a squat rack doing deep squats with wraps on. I see more women doing heavy squatting,
that's awesome.
and you didn't used to see
same for jiu-jitsu. There were no female black belts 20 years ago. Yeah. I hope I'm not wrong and I'm skipping someone over. I could be wrong, but now there's so many and that's awesome to see. And there are more women getting into jiu-jitsu as well.
Yeah. So the downside or upside depends on how you look at it to that is, and it's the same in strongman. 10 years ago, for example, the competition weights at the amateur level were vastly less than they are now. This year's Florida's Strongest Man, the heavyweight men's yoke was 1,000 pounds. 10 years ago at the World's Strongest Man, the Arnold, which is the heaviest strongman competition in the world for the pros, it was 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
So the amateurs are doing
what the pros did at the best event 10 years ago. That's crazy.
It used to be that, if you had a 400-pound log press, you were a monster. We just passed 500 pounds on a log press. I mean, in 10 years. It's
Wow, that's amazing.
15 years. It's gone. And with that comes competition. And it's probably the same with jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely.
The competition has
oh my God,
crazy, you could
take you could take anybody, I think, from the top 100 of any weight class, put them against everybody else from 10 years ago, and they would win ADCC. Just because the level of knowledge has increased so much.
Yep.
It's
the same.
Yeah, and maybe everybody's game is different. But back in 2011 ADCC trials, you could be just a leg lock guy, you could be a purple belt and be decent at leg locks, and you could win ADCC trials. It's like that now, no way. You might win the first round or two, but you're gonna get someone that shuts that game down because everybody knows how to deal with that now.
Absolutely.
And so the people that are starting to dominate now are the wrestlers, the people that can put a high pace on their passing and their wrestling, and they can get the initial points and the dominant position. So you've seen quite an evolution in jiu-jitsu too.
Absolutely. I think it seems like that's the trend in a lot of sports.
Yeah.
It's great. Keeps you on your game.
I think it's a great trend to show that it's become much more popularized than before, though.
And it is. But with that comes that higher level. You got to constantly be up in your game.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
Staying on top of things, and that's hard.
I love seeing the wrestling community start to come into jiu-jitsu, though, even though they're dominating a lot of the time. You know.
And I love to see Olympic or power CrossFitters come over and try a strongman competition. It's the same thing. We're getting out of our comfort zone, powerlifting, coming over and trying a strongman competition. It's very fun to see that crossover.
And like I've kind of hinted at before, I would like to see all of this stuff become mainstream. Mainstream American culture should revolve around these kinds of things because there's so many health benefits. There's so much camaraderie benefits in all of this. Like you build communities around this. In jiu-jitsu, you've seen it's very intimate. You're basically putting a great degree of trust in your training partner to not injure you, and if they put you in a submission, that when you tap, they're going to let go. So that forms a pretty tight bond between training partners. But even in the lifting community, I know, from what I've seen at the professional level, it's pretty positive. It's even if someone outlifts you by 30 pounds, you're like,
I'm happy that
damn, man, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Good job.
No, so. If somebody bests me, I'm happy for them because that's impressive. That's where I want to get to now.
Right.
So we cheer them on. It's strongman has a very cool camaraderie. It's not, you're not wishing for somebody to zero or hurt themselves.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You want them to beat you. In fact, you're out there cheering for them.
Yeah.
Get that last rep. Come on. You can beat me, and that's cool. You don't get that in a lot of sports, but you do get it in the lifting sports.
It makes sense though that it's so centered around rooting for yourself to succeed versus someone else to fail. Because when you go in the weightlifting gym and you're always trying to increase the amount of weight that you can do and always better yourself, right? You're not coming in with the mentality of I hope everyone else around me gets weaker. It's like, no, I'm going to be the person that gets stronger.
Exactly.
So it makes sense that would come out when you're in a competitive environment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Strongman's cool because it's not like powerlifting is you versus yourself. You have a certain numbers, this and that. Strongman, I have to beat you lifted that log 7 times. I must lift that log 8 times to beat you, or I don't beat you. So it's you versus one other, a whole group of other people, and I enjoy that. And I just thought of something on the fly here. One of the other things that would be beneficial for anybody that is training jiu-jitsu, pushes and pulls. So either a sled at the gym or a parking lot with a pickup truck. Get behind it, put it in neutral, have a driver, push to develop.
So the sixth exercise would be sled,
absolutely,
push, and pull.
And then again, get a rope.
Yeah,
put the car in neutral.
They suck.
Pull it. No, they suck, but you will develop more leg. Think about that. Every one of those is a rep on the squat. Every push that you did, you are repping that pickup truck as you push it. So incredible for base, for building your your legs up and getting stronger and harder to take down. So that's another thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's a big thing I noticed is when I gained leg mass and strength is man, I'm so much harder to take down.
Yeah.
Especially my glute strength, as funny as it is, and Bill Murphy, who's a 4th degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I hope to have him on and talk to him about some stuff, Man, that guy knows a lot. But one of the things a wrestling coach that he knows says, or something that he says, is you know, like if someone's still got a butt, they can still wrestle. They're good. But as soon as it goes flat, it's like it's time to retire.
Can't do it.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and I've noticed like, you know, all these exercises that revolve around, you know, building my glutes and hamstrings and quads. Like, man, it's made my wrestling base so much stronger. It's made me so much harder to take down.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. I'd like to see this stuff more, you know, in schools. I really would.
It should be.
But
it should be.
We still got to grow it a little bit more. So
it used to be. We used to be a people where that manual labor was something we had to do. You know,
right.
the weekend, clear our farm of rocks, pick up the the firewood for the winter time and bring it in. Those are just chores. We've kind of lost that, you know, unless you're in the trades and you're laying brick every day or something. So I preach the same thing. Just get out there, and even if it's just a chore, like stacking firewood or moving some rocks.
When we tore down the concrete wall that was back there, you know, I was swinging the hammer and then picking up the blocks that fell and dumping them in.
Those make you stronger.
Yeah.
You know, they make you functionally stronger.
Yeah, dude, I did that for like 4 or 5 hours, and then I called you and I was like, dude, I can't do deadlifts today. Like I'm screwed.
No, absolutely.
And the next day, it's funny, I was sore, and I felt exactly as sore as I would have been had I done deadlifts. Like my back was sore, my legs were sore.
Yeah,
it was funny.
You just did manual labor.
Right.
Just not for sport.
Yeah.
You know.
And you're right. Manual labor has become less common, like as a daily occurrence to just maintain your household or something like that. Like 100 years ago, it was far more common, but we don't have that anymore.
Right.
So you know, we can do it at the gym. You know, and we should.
Yeah, we need to. It's our only outlet for it. Unless you have a farm with a bunch of rocks in it and trees and stuff to pick up. That's where I really think we need to kind of get back to is the gym, functional strength in the gym. It will carry over into your everyday life.
Yeah.
It's so good for so many things, from osteoporosis to just heart disease to just, you know, across the board.
Given like how long generational changes take to get into the wider culture, I would like to see 20 years from now it just be culturally normalized for every person to be fit and athletic.
Would be nice.
And nice. I say this especially, you know, with people that, you know, work in medicine or anything related to health, even public health. It's like, you know, if you're trying to get someone to believe your messages about how to be healthy and what you need to do, you need to look the part.
You do.
You know?
You do.
And, it's sort of like when COVID happened, it's like, I'm looking at some of these public health officials, and I know that they're morbidly obese because I have eyes, you know, and I'm like, this person that is putting themselves at severe risk for COVID and over the last 2 years has not decreased their weight is telling me that I need to close my business for public health reasons. It's like, what incentive do I have to listen to you?
I agree.
You know,
I totally agree.
And it doesn't need to be that extreme. You know, it could be something more innocuous, like take this medicine. And you know what? Guess what? Maybe that medicine is very valuable and will help you, but you're less likely to listen to them if they don't look like they take their own health seriously.
I would agree with that. It's the same thing, getting back to picking a trainer. Probably pick the trainer that looks like he works out, looks like he's in good shape, he eats right, or she, and has the body that you want to get to, be it a strongman, where he's a little thicker and just quite you know, bulky, or a bodybuilder, you know, where he's got a small torso and he looks the part. Pick the trainer that gets into what you want to do.
It's funny. I was reading a post by Tom DeBlasio the other day, and he said he got it was either him or someone else that I follow, but Tom just came to my mind because he's a pretty prominent voice, you know. And one of the things he preaches to his own instructors is like, look, if you're affiliated with me, you gotta look healthy. Like you gotta look good, you gotta look strong. And you know, he also looks strong and he looks healthy. But he said that one kid that he signed up for his program, like his parents said, we went with you because you were the first instructor that we saw that looked in shape and looked like you knew what you were doing. And it's like, yeah, of course. Like parents want to see that, oh, you look like you live a healthy lifestyle and you look like you actually train consistently, and that's the kind of program we want our kids to be in. And it goes far beyond jiu-jitsu or weightlifting or anything else. Yeah, everything.
Every facet of life, from how you eat, how you sleep, what medicines you take, or what vitamins, just on down the line. Everything in life comes back to that. So you're exactly right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. Let's keep it up, man.
All right, buddy. I appreciate the time.
Peter, thanks so much for coming.
Of course.
Yeah. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure you share it. Do you have a skinny jiu-jitsu friend that needs to get to the gym? Share this video.
Share it.
Let them know, like, this is the stuff that you guys got to do.
Yep.
Obviously, guys, technique is king, but being stronger, being a little bit bigger, having more muscle, it's going to help you out, okay? And ultimately, do you want to be the best in your own weight class? Or do you want to just be the best that you can be? I would rather be the best that I can be. And that's my mentality going into this and trying to gain weight and getting stronger. So if you have something you want to comment about, if there's something you disagree with or something you want to expand upon, drop a comment below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. Click that notification bell. That way you guys get notified every time we have new videos. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time.